It's Nolan. Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show.
Got my legal hustle, welcome to the trap. I could blow a stack, bet I make it back. You can hit my line if you need a track, but we can't even talk if it ain't about the bag. Got my legal hustle, welcome to the trap. I could blow a stack, bet I make it back. You can hit my line if you need a track, but we can't even talk if it ain't about the bag. My studio sessions turn into fireworks. These reptiles on me like a Lacoste shirt. Plain Jane, make your eyes hurt. Fuck a sponsor. My mission to give it your prize, but without the concert. Pandemic showed me I could get it off the muscle. I be grinding year round. Y'all be waiting for the summer. I just fill the gaps. Don't need a light for the tunnel. Y'all looking highly disgruntled. I use the mic for my hustle. Dog, I came up, triple beam changed up. Built the team, serving up the fiends through the screen. Living out the dream. Still independent, don't need the red tape. Game green, cut the dead weight, that's my headspace. Yeah, I've been a boss, I just now embraced it. Feeling in W9s like an application. Strong mind, advantageous, planning vacations. I put my dogs in the business like I'm Baron Davis. Got my legal hustle, welcome to the trap. I could blow a stack, bet I make it back. You can hit my line if you need a track, but we can't even talk if it ain't about the bag. Got my legal hustle, welcome to the trap. I could blow a stack, bet I make it back. You can hit my line if you need a track, but we can't even talk if it ain't about the bag.
What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody's doing well out there. As we get into the show, man, this is going to be a lengthy one. I ain't going to lie to y'all. We have a lawsuit on deck from Rodney O, the original artist, along with Joe Cooley from Everlasting Bass, which is the song that was sampled on Metro Boomin and Future's Like That featuring Kendrick Lamar. Now, this song has been wrapped up in lawsuits since last year. Ever since it came out, the Barry White estate has been looking for some bread. If y'all can remember, the original sample, or at least the Everlasting Bass sample used in Metro Boomin and Future's record, came out in 1986. Now, in 1986, if I'm not mistaken, the sample laws were not as robust or up to date as they are today, right? There was a lot of sampling going on in hip hop, and they didn't necessarily know how to go about collecting it or how to go about, doing the copyright lawsuits and things of that nature. So a lot of stuff got missed. A lot of stuff ended up being retroactively pursued. And this is basically a case of that. The Barry White estate is coming for everybody. They're coming for Metro. They're coming for Future. They're coming for Kendrick, all being defendants named. They're coming for Rodney O. They're coming for Joe Cooley. All the people who have sampled and over time sampled Everlasting Bass, they're all kind of on the chopping block from the Barry White estate, right? Now, what's interesting is Rodney O, last year when Like That came out, he did interviews. He talked about how much he loved the record. He talked about literally signing off on the record in interviews. But now that the fight nail, he's opened up a lawsuit against Metro Boomin, Future, and Kendrick Lamar because, understandably, he now needs financial backing to fight the Barry White Foundation or estate who's trying to sue him. And unfortunately, it's put him in a position to where he now has to go against the very generation of artists that he was just praising and happy to have that sample, to have that connection to the new generation. He's having to sing another tune. Now, interestingly enough, I've been in contact, not recently, but within the last, we'll just say 2 years, I've been in contact with one of the people on Rodney O's team by the name of Nicole. You know who you are. And, she was excited about the Like That sample, but she knew that there was some things going on and some things that needed to be taken care of. She's helped educate me a little bit about the music business. She works in the publishing game and a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Very educated woman. So I have respect for people on Rodney's side. I respect Rodney and Joe Cooley for what their contribution is to hip hop with Everlasting Bass and other records that they did. Can never take that away from them. Unfortunately, this is just a fucking mess. So first thing I want to do is go ahead and play video of Rodney O talking about Like That, talking about getting the clearance from or the clearance paperwork from Metro Boomin, and then we'll work our way up to what's on the table now.
Everlasting Bass was the song that was the inspiration, the premise to the song Like That.
Yes.
Produced by Metro Boomin, featuring Future and Kendrick Lamar, that just set off a movement right now that got the West Coast just really reignited. The music business as a whole is reignited. Right. When you first heard Like That, what did you think?
I had heard it like a year before. He was playing it at a club, just a little snippet.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
A year before?
A year before. I heard it in June.
That's even
Last
earlier.
year.
June of 2023?
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, that might do a little something. Because a lot of people have used it, but they totally messed it up. You know what I mean? So the elements that he used, I was like, okay. And I could just hear it from like iPhone audio from the clip. I was like, they got a little they got a chance to do something. So they wind up sending it to me before, because I had to approve it. So they wind up sending it to me like 2 weeks before it came out. But when they sent it to me, Kendrick wasn't on there.
Okay, you didn't hear that verse.
No, they didn't want me to hear it.
Okay. Why? Because they thought you could easily
probably hit him upside the head for some more money or something.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's what I think it was.
Yeah, you could still do that if you wanted to, but
yeah, I mean,
but okay, so you heard it a year ago without the Kendrick verse, and then you heard it again 2 weeks before they released it without the Kendrick verse.
Right.
Right.
What did you think when you heard the Kendrick verse?
I said this one gonna go.
You said it's gonna go?
Yeah, I knew it was gonna go.
Wow. All right.
For one, from the popularity of them alone, you know what I'm saying? And then just the way they did it. Metro really, he put his foot in it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did that open any doors of possibly working with him on future stuff? Not Future the artist,
right.
but things
No
in
pun?
the future? Yeah. I got confused.
He's used my songs before, like with 21 Savage, Nobody Disses Me. It was just an album cut. It wasn't a single, but the album went gold, so that was cool for me. You know what I mean? So I don't really care about working with new and upcoming art. Because I come from a place, man, where either you get it on your own, you don't need no help. If you got to have help, you're probably not going to do that. I just come from, you got to do it. If you don't do it, that ain't going to happen.
Okay. But what about the opportunity for generational, people from different generations to come together and plant that seed into this new generation who Rodney O is?
I mean, that's cool, but it's like with being an older rap guy.
Yeah.
Man.
You good.
They look at me like I'm a doo-wop artist or something.
A doo-wop artist?
To me, that's how I feel. You know what I mean?
Why
to
do
me,
fools fall in love?
The young cats, they look at the older cats like, whatever.
Like,
that's how I feel.
All right. So this is an interview from just last year of Rodney O on the SUED in the Morning show, where he's talking about Like That. He's talking about, he heard a version of Like That in 2023 in the club, or at least he received footage of Metro playing it in the club somewhere, right? Of course, before the official version dropped, Metro and Future played it on stage with Travis Scott. Travis Scott said, play the dun-na-na, 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 because Travis Scott was originally supposed to be on that song, if I'm not mistaken, but Kendrick ended up closing it out and closed out a lot more than that in the months to come, right? But unfortunately for Rodney O, although he was, pretty satisfied with the outcome at the time, things have changed exponentially. So now we have a new interview of Rodney O, which was released within the last couple days, of him with TMZ. and his sentiment towards this song once again has shifted.
So when did you first hear Kendrick Lamar, Future, Metro Boomin's like that, which sampled Everlasting Bass?
Well, Epic reached out to me and said that, like a week before the song came out, not way before anything, and tried to rush to get it done. They sent me the song, and the song only had Future on it. You know what I mean? I didn't even know Kendrick was on it till a day before when somebody called and said, "Man, I heard Kendrick is on that record." I said, "No, I have the record. He's not on there." And the record it's a song that was like 2 minutes and something. You know how it is now. 2 minute song, you think that's the whole song nowadays. The song that the record company sent me didn't have Kendrick Lamar on it.
The version with Kendrick does get released, and was there any paperwork or conversation for that?
No, there wasn't. Not for that song. The song they sent me is the song that they were supposed to release. They released the one with Kendrick Lamar, talking about nobody was privy to Kendrick Lamar. Nobody was privy to hearing the song, but Metro and Future's team. But I'm the rights holder to Everlasting Bass, so you got to let me hear it so I can say yay or nay. Now, everybody would want Kendrick on their song. I understand that, but say I was cool with Drake. Give me that option to say yay or nay.
Yeah, Rodney, all respect to you, all respect to your team. Shout out to Nicole, but I gotta disagree with you on this, sir. And I'm not, I'm not a entertainment lawyer or anything of that nature. But just 10 months ago, when you did the interview with SUED, you didn't feel that way. You told pretty much the same story, but the tone was completely different. Now, I understand you're under a lot of pressure because the Barry White estate is on you. And I don't think, that should be discounted or undermined or downplayed, because the fact that they're suing you definitely is going to create discomfort and probably create a world of frustration for you, right? So I understand that part. But you said that you heard a version of the song in 2023 when Metro was just out playing the track in the clubs, I guess the beat. You say you heard 2 weeks prior the 2 minute version, I guess, that you're talking about now, which is a common tactic used in the music industry nowadays. Actually, it's been that way for many years, where the artists will reach out to the original rights holder and play them a portion of the track. Some people, when signing off on samples, only get to hear 30 seconds of the song or 40 seconds or a minute. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that you got 2 minutes, I don't feel like that is a discount. And again, you didn't know that Kendrick was on it last year, and you said it ain't no big deal when it came out. But now you're saying y'all should have told me Kendrick was on it, as if it's a problem, right? I don't see how anything changes other than the fact that you could have asked for more money, right? Which is always a thing. But this does put you in a negative light. I'm not going to lie. Because now outsiders, and when I say outsiders, I'm just saying people from the outside looking in, spectators, are going to look at you like, dang, you switch sides. Why? You know what I'm saying? Now, I understand it's a financial issue. It's a financial burden. But damn, man, this ain't looking good.
My rights manager, Nicole Key, told me from the beginning something's not right. They just dropped the ball and not giving us any type of respect, man. And that's cold to do that to old school artists, man. They came to me. I didn't go to them. I didn't tell them to use my record. They came to me. So to come to me, take my record, make all this money out on tours, do this and that, and act like we're not a part of it, even left me off the Grammy nomination.
Oh.
How can you do that? You know what I mean? So just no respect at all. And that's how.
It's another thing I don't understand. Hip hop has been in the Grammys for about 40 years now, at least 30. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I personally have never seen where the sample is a part of the Grammy nomination, right? You're in the credits for the publishing. You're in the credits on the streaming platforms. If you go look up the song, your sample is credited. I don't know if y'all got points off the master on that or not, or if it's just strictly publishing and an upfront payment. I don't know how the business was worked out on that, but I've never seen, you know what I'm saying? I don't think I've ever seen a rapper go on stage with the original, with the artist who was from the original sample, like, yo, come up here and accept this award with me. I think it would be great if it did happen, but I've never seen where that was like to be expected. So also I find that to be strange to say they left me off the Grammy nomination when you're actually not on like that, right? Your song is sampled, but you're not performing on the song, right? Because if you had a performance on the song, as in a new verse or something, or a interlude or something, you probably would have been on the Grammy nomination for taking part in the new version of the record. So all of this comes off a little strange. I'm not gonna lie, and I say that respectfully again to Nicole and to Rodney.
A lot of old school artists get treated.
So I saw that you filed something against the Barrier White estate last year for the everlasting bass sample clearance. What was that about?
Well, they filed a claim against us and that we infringed on Barry White, which is not what happened. So, uh, yeah, so that's how that went. The song's been out over 35 years, never infringement claim. When the song was out, even Barry White was alive. So we don't know where this came from, but we have our reasons to believe we know now why that happened.
Oh, like someone's trying to make a cash grab on you?
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is because there was never a problem before. Now this big hit comes out. Now all of a sudden we infringed on Barry White.
So when you guys made the song, you sampled Barry Everlasting Bass, sampled a Barry White track?
No, not at all. All the whole song was done, produced by me when I was like 16, 17 years old. All keyboards, 808 drum machine. So no.
Before Like That came out, what do you think was the most lucrative sample for Everlasting Bass? You know, who you think did it the justice and hooked you guys up?
You know, a lot of people have used it. I would probably say Lil Wayne, but it wasn't an official release. It was just on a mixtape, and so it was on YouTube. So Lil Wayne did it justice. 3 6 Mafia used my stuff a lot. You know, NLE Chopper used it. Metro used another song of mine called Nobody Disses Me. That was on a 21 Savage album. So they've used it in the past, you know what I'm saying? But we've even had problems with a lot of those licensing deals. At a time where I should be celebrating and feeling good about it, I don't even want to hear the record. And I'm just being truthful. It's been a whole year of me dealing with this and no communication. They won't email us back. I'm fighting it myself, going pro se. I don't have no lawyer because I had a lawyer and their loyalty laid with the record companies instead of the client. So I don't even trust lawyers. I have to fight this myself in federal court. Me, I'm not no lawyer. You know, you're supposed to let the plumbers do the plumbing. I'm being a lawyer. You know, they thought they had somebody that they could step on, and me and my rights manager, like I said, aren't having it. So now we're in a fight, and I don't even think Metro, Future, and Kendrick even know. You know what I'm saying? There's people I could have reached out to and probably got with them, but they're gonna refer back to the lawyers. The lawyer's gonna tell them, "Oh, it's nothing. We got it handled. Don't worry about it. Go on about your life." Meanwhile, me and my rights manager is fighting. You know, since the record's it's been a whole year, not a dime.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
How much money do you think you guys are owed?
Oh yeah, yeah. You already know, man. Millions.
Okay, so that is the recent Rodney O interview. And I think the end of that shows you the crux of the position, right? He's been fighting this by himself with just his rights manager. Shout out once more to Miss Nicole Key. I know her for doing just that. And they're in it by themselves, fighting this in federal court against the Barry White estate, which again is frustrating. It's going to be costly fighting this. And I understand that, but I I don't really know if this is the way to go about it, but I'm sure he feels like he doesn't have any other out, right? Other than to say, okay, all of this came in my direction because y'all released this new song, this hit record, this massive thing. Because you got to think, 3 6 Mafia was big, but their version when they sampled his song was small potatoes compared to like that. All the other artists, NLE Chopper, all these people he named, small potatoes compared to like that. Like that is another one of those generational records. People that are gonna go back years from now, talk about how the Drake and Kendrick battle started, got popped off. Like that is going to be a reference point for that along the way. Right? So I understand why he's frustrated. I understand why he's frustrated with Metro Future. Kendrick is just a feature on the song. Kendrick has nothing more to do with it other than contributing a verse. He didn't come up with the idea for the sample. He wasn't originally on the song. Again, I believe it was Travis Scott who was slated to fill in that actual spot that Kendrick ended up occupying. So I don't think Kendrick should have anything to do with this. I don't even think his name should be mentioned in it. But of course, he is a contributor to the record, and it's not a remix. It's an actual, original song on the album. So I understand. But I think there's a little bit too much dip on Kendrick's chip specifically. But again, he's looking like, man, y'all need to come help me out, right? Y'all ain't had no problem sampling my shit. Y'all ain't had no problem putting it out. Y'all came to me. I gave y'all the signature. Y'all gotta now look out for me on the back end with this bullshit. And he feels like nobody is chirping back. I understand the frustration. Now let's get to his actual filing to get a little bit more understanding. Because again, he's been sued by Barry White and them. His partner, Joe Cooley, is not supporting him because Joe Cooley says Rodney O signed off on the clearance without even consulting with me and has been for years. So they fell out. I don't know where they stand as of today, but I do remember him coming out and making a statement against him. So I think he's feeling like me against the world at this point. So here we are with the official filing from Rodney O. Okay, this is Rodney Oliver, PKA Rodney O, and Nicole Key. Shout out to Nicole once again. Against Barry White Family Trust, Sony Music Entertainment, doing business as Epic Records. That's where Future is signed. Universal Music Group, Rob Feenan, Dorothy Weber, Nevadius Wilburn, professionally known as Future, Leland Wayne, professionally known as Metro Boomin, Kendrick Duckworth, professionally known as Kendrick Lamar, and John Doe's 1 through 10. These are all of the defendants. Case number has been blanked out. They say a bench trial is requested. Okay? This is sad. Let me take this stuff out the corner over here. My bad. So preliminary statement. And this is 95 pages, y'all. This is a lot to get to. This case arises from a deliberate and bad faith campaign by defendants to infringe plaintiff's right in the iconic musical work Everlasting Bass, misappropriate its commercial value, and deprive plaintiffs of rightful compensation and recognition. Defendants' actions include willful copyright infringement, fraudulent misrepresentation, breach of contract, and other misconduct aimed at undermining plaintiffs' ownership and legacy. Now, what I'm not sure about is why they would be suing Barry White estate. I don't understand how you're suing the people suing you for copyright infringement for copyright infringement. I think that would probably be something else. I don't know how far this is actually going to go as far as like a judge is concerned. but we'll see. Metro claims that Rodney O was paid $50K. Oh shit! So this is really a situation of interpolation. I could play this real quick. Hopefully, it doesn't become an issue. But I'm gonna play this real quick. Y'all let me know what y'all think. But I think this is an interpolation issue, not a sample issue. Y'all hear that? Here's the Barry White part. That was Everlasting Bass. This is the Barry White shit.
Feels so good.
Yep, it's not a sample, it's an interpolation. And Barry White in them is on y'all ass because the interpolation must have never been cleared. That's where this shit goes bad. Let me get back to the filing. They say in early 2024, Epic, on behalf of Future, sought to license Everlasting Bass for use in the track Like That. Plaintiffs negotiated in good faith, executing preliminary license agreements conditioned on finalized long-form contracts and strict use of the approved Like That master. Defendants, however, engaged in deceit, falsely assuring limited use, misrepresenting their intentions, and failing to deliver finalized contracts, fraudulently inducing plaintiffs' consent. So they have Exhibit J, which is communications and notices related to Like That licensing violations dated March 8th, 2024 through February 21st, 2025, which is when I think this was, they began drafting this up. So they say that they were misled. Okay. Without authorization, defendants released an unauthorized derivative version of Like That by Future, Metro Boomin, and Kendrick Lamar, incorporating Everlasting Bass without plaintiff's approval. I've never seen a situation where you had to approve who was gonna be featured on the song. I've never heard of that. But again, I'm not on that side of the industry. I would love to get somebody like an A&R or somebody that's like working in that department, clearing samples at a label or for a specific artist, to let me know, have they ever run into that issue. I'm gonna have to go through some of my connects to see if we can get somebody on here to talk about that. We'll continue though. Without plaintiff's approval, the track achieved significant commercial success, debuting at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and amassing over 60 million streams, yet plaintiffs were denied the benefits of their work. Exhibit D, Impact Report on the Influence of Everlasting Bass on the Careers of Metro Boomin, Kendrick, and Future, dated April 26th, 2025. I'm guessing this is a article or a report y'all created yourselves? When confronted, defendants escalated their misconduct by manufacturing a baseless infringement claim through the Barry White Trust, falsely alleging that Everlasting Bass infringed Barry White's I'm Gonna Love You Just a Little More Baby. Correspondence and claims related to Barry White Family Trust infringement allegations dated April 23rd, 2024 through July 2nd, 2024. This claim was used to coerce plaintiffs into surrendering ownership rights and accepting unfavorable terms under economic duress. So this is interesting. So Rodney is claiming that they reached out to, I'm guessing, Metro and Future's team, because again, Kendrick is not really involved in this. He just put a 16 on a track. And I guess maybe the $50K that he got was not enough. And remember, you're supposed to get royalties, publishing royalties off of that. And if y'all can remember, we just watched that Birdman video the other day. He said once you introduce litigation, the money gets held up in escrow until it all gets worked out, right? So I think this is where things start getting a little fucked up. So he reaches out and he's like, yo, I need y'all, because he's like, now that this Kendrick version is out, he feels like he was deceived. Now, in that SUED interview we watched, he said that he felt okay about Kendrick being on it, right? He said it don't matter. But I guess he changed his mind at some point, reached out and was like, yo, we got to work this thing out, man. This song is becoming a fucking global hit. when I expected it to, just kind of be like a dope hip hop record that people were going to fuck with. And we need to revisit this. Based on the inference, I can't say definitively, but it seems they're trying to say that Metro and Future's team basically said, nah, we not doing nothing else because we found out that you sampled Barry White and never cleared it. Right? So you can't get nothing out of us. Right? And remember, Barry White's estate is suing all of them. They opened up a lawsuit last year. I covered it on my channel. So this is a classic case of, you want to talk about the Spider-Man meme? This is the Spider-Man meme of who done it. Who's wrong? Everybody pointing at each other. Okay? So he says they were trying to coerce him into surrendering his ownership and accepting unfavorable terms under economic duress. Nature of action. This action arises from defendant's bad faith, coercive, fraudulent, and infringing conduct, including willful copyright infringement in connection with the unauthorized use, licensing, and release of an unauthorized derivative work incorporating plaintiff's original music, Everlasting Bass and Like That by Future, and a derivative version by Future, Metro Boomin, and Kendrick Lamar. I don't believe that that's a derivative version. It's the same song. You just didn't hear the full song. It's not two different versions. And Kendrick's verse was submitted, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 24 to 48 hours before. Even he said that in his TMZ interview, because Kendrick puts top flight security around his work so that his shit don't leak. We'll continue. Defendants engaged in a pattern of misconduct, including fraudulent misrepresentation, breach of contract, breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, economic duress, tortious interference, civil extortion, unjust enrichment, and willful copyright infringement to undermine plaintiff's rights, delay payments, and diminish Rodney O's rightful ownership and legacy. I don't know how far this is going to go, sir, because if y'all never cleared that interpolation from the Barry White song to begin with, and it's now coming up, I understand how that's gonna feel. It's gonna feel terrible. It's gonna feel like the world is closing in. But I don't see how that's Metro, Future, or Kendrick's fault when the business wasn't handled in '86. Again, I know sample copyrights and sample law and stuff like that wasn't fully established at that point, but it basically seems like you got away with that interpolation for almost 4 decades. Plaintiffs seek compensatory and punitive damages, statutory damages for willful copyright infringement, injunctive relief, attorney fees, and leave to amend to add additional claims as discovery progresses for defendants' willful and malicious actions which cause plaintiffs financial harm, reputational damage, emotional distress, and lost business opportunities. How you losing business opportunities? You said in your interview you don't even care to work with the new generation. We don't care about the venue, because that's just where the courts and everything is being filed and where they would have to attend and all that good stuff. That's not relevant to us. So factual background, co-ownership of Everlasting Bass. On April 24th, 2025, plaintiffs executed an amended co-ownership agreement formalizing their 50-50 co-ownership on the master recordings and composition in Rodney O's catalog. This is an interesting piece here. Plaintiffs executed. So the plaintiffs here are Rodney O and Miss Nicole Key. Y'all amended a co-ownership agreement formalizing 50-50 co-ownership on the master and composition in Rodney O's catalog, which we actually had a conversation about. Because Miss Nicole has been helping a lot of old school artists get the rights back for their music, including Everlasting Bass retroactive to January 1st, 2020. Co-ownership agreement between Rodney O and Nicole Key for Everlasting Bass dated April 24th, 2025. Okay. Didn't Like That come out before April 24th, though? The agreement grants each plaintiff the right to exploit the catalog, including licensing and suing for infringement, subject to duty to account for profits on a 50-50 basis. Exhibit A, co-ownership agreement between Rodney and Nicole for Everlasting Bass. So that's y'all personal, y'all business relationship, which entitles Miss Nicole to a 50-50 split. Licensing negotiations with Epic. In early 2024, Epic, through its representative Eric Wiseman, initiated contact with Miss Key to license the master recording and composition of Everlasting Bass for use in Future's track Like That. Okay? So this dates back to March 8th of 2024. During negotiations in March 2024, Key inquired whether defendants planned to perform Like That at the Rolling Loud Festival and whether they were using Everlasting Bass to promote Future's upcoming album. Now, this is interesting. So Miss Nicole asked them, I know y'all got a Rolling Loud performance coming up. Are y'all planning on playing this song out there? And remember, the first time we heard this record was on the Rolling Loud stage with Future, Metro Boomin in the DJ booth, and Travis Scott requesting it to be played because they started letting some songs out the chamber early while on stage. They state defendants responded evasively, stating not to my knowledge regarding the performance and not aware regarding promotional plans. Okay? So they answered that they didn't give a definitive no, but they said we're not sure. Right? Key warned Epic that social media and fan chatter indicated Like That was being promoted as a classic using the recognizable Everlasting Bass sample, emphasizing that such use without finalized agreements was unethical, legally actionable, and constituted willful infringement of plaintiff's copyrighted work. Meaning that they jumped out and played the song before the sample was cleared, which has gone bad, right? If y'all can remember, Nicki Minaj was sued, was it by Betty Wright? For Funk Flex leaking out one of her songs on the radio, and she ended up getting sued. She didn't clear it for Flex to play, but she ended up getting sued because he leaked it out on the radio. So this is where stuff gets a little tricky. Despite Key's warnings, Epic, Future, Metro Boomin, Kendrick Lamar, Universal Music, and Doze willfully exploited Everlasting Bass to build buzz. I still don't understand why Kendrick is being involved here. He wasn't on stage at Rolling Loud. He wasn't even on the song when they played it at Rolling Loud. He gave his verse at the 25th hour. So I don't really like that he's included. I understand he's a part of the song, though. To build buzz for Future's album without securing finalized licensing terms, constituting unauthorized use and willful copyright infringement. Negotiations culminated in the execution of two license agreements, a master use license agreement dated March 20th, not on my birthday, granting Epic a non-exclusive perpetual right to exploit the Everlasting Bass master and Like That for a 15% interest in income and a $50,000 fee, which Metro Boomin and his team said they were paid 50%. So you wanted 15% interest in the song. So I'm guessing that is that on the master or the publishing? Okay. So that's that. That's for the master. Okay. And a publishing license agreement dated March 20th. So all on the same day, granting Epic a non-exclusive perpetual right to exploit the Everlasting Bass composition and Like That for a 50% interest in the copyright, and that copyright will be on the publishing side. So 50% of the pub, 15% of the master on that song. Got it. And a $5,000 fee. Okay? So they were paid out $55,000, entitled to 50% on the publishing, which is the songwriting. So if the song gets played on the radio, if the song gets played in venues around the world, which even Kendrick is performing this song currently on his GNX Grand National Tour, there's going to be some money that goes to Rodney O for these performances, right? Which I don't feel like this is a bad deal. The problem is because Barry White Foundation and estate came in and sued, Rodney O has not been receiving his royalties because the song is now caught up in litigation. So here, both licenses were explicitly limited to the use of everlasting bass as embodied in the specific like that master approved by plaintiffs, with no rights granted for derivative works, remixes, or alternate versions, right? So again, remember, going back to the SUED interview, he said, they only played me the version with Future and Metro, which is just a Future song. And he said they didn't play me the Kendrick version, probably because I could have bust them over the head for more money, which at the time he was content with what he was paid. So I find this to be a little disingenuous, I gotta say, and I fuck with y'all. But this feels like a retroactive change of heart, to be fair. See unauthorized release of derivative work. On March 22nd, 2024, defendants Epic, Future, Metro, Kendrick, John Doe's 1 through 10, UMG, of course, because Metro is signed to Republic, which is a subsidiary of UMG, willfully released an unauthorized derivative work titled like that by Metro, Future, and Kendrick, which incorporated everlasting bass without plaintiff's approval, breaching the terms of the master. I would need an entertainment attorney to like really get into the weeds of this, because technically they could be right, but this feels like semantics because they weren't aware that Kendrick was going to be on the song. So now they're calling it a derivative work rather than the original because they didn't hear him on it. But again, I've seen plenty of instances where the original rights holder only hears a portion of the sample and it's fine. The release of this derivative work violated the express limitation in the licenses, which permitted use only in the specific like that master approved by plaintiffs, and constituted willful, unauthorized reproduction, distribution, and public performance of plaintiffs' copyrighted work. The commercial and cultural success of like that, as detailed on the Impact Report. Okay. So basically they're saying this song blew up way bigger than it was supposed to because y'all didn't tell us Kendrick was going to be on it. That's what the problem is here. As noted in these sections. There's multiple problems here. Plaintiff's good faith efforts. Promptly addressed Epic's requests, provided documentation, negotiated reasonable terms, and executed the licenses in reliance on defendants' representations. So Miss Nicole says, hey, we gave y'all no problems in clearing the sample. You know, when y'all wanted to get this track from us and get our signatures, we complied very quickly. In April of 2024, Key escalated efforts to secure prompt payment, split sheet confirmations, and final executed agreements, which there's nothing wrong with doing that. You're supposed to. Raising concerns about delays, unauthorized use, the unauthorized derivative work, and potential breaches. But when it comes to this derivative Kendrick version, I think that's where they started getting a little bit like, yo, y'all doing too much. I'm gonna be honest. But in business, this happens. Defendant's bad faith conduct. Upon execution of the licenses, Epic failed to timely finalize payments, causing delays and prejudicing plaintiff's interests. Correspondence and claims related to Barry White Family Trust infringement allegations dated April 23, 2024 to July 2nd, 2024. Epic's representative, Dahlia Auerbach, improperly escalated Key's routine inquiries to legal counsel, signaling an intent to sidestep Key's authority. Defendants Epic, Future, and Metro Boomin, John Doe's 1 through 10, falsely claimed Metro Boomin obtained pre-clearance directly from Rodney O, a misrepresentation used to justify bypassing Key's role and releasing the unauthorized derivative work, later proven false. So They say Metro and them claim that they had already cleared it from Rodney, but they didn't get but they tried to bypass Miss Nicole Key, who is the business representative who works on behalf of Rodney O, right? Because Rodney's not a businessman. He's an old school artist and producer, you know what I'm saying? Who unfortunately caught a raw deal when his version came out in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? The industry was so different back then. And it took a while for him to even obtain the masters to this stuff. So I understand. Immediately after Key's escalation, Epic, joined by Barry White Trust, Finan, and Weber, notified Key of an alleged infringement claim, asserting that Everlasting Bass interpolated Barry White's "I'm Gonna Love You Just a Little." Didn't I say interpolation? I have not pre-read this. "I'm Gonna Love You Just a Little More, Baby" correspondence and claims related to Barry White Family Trust infringement allegations. And I gotta be honest, that is an interpolation. I just played it. That's what it is. Now, I'm not no judge and jury, but I do have ears. Key refuted the claim, providing evidence that Everlasting Bass is an original copyright registered work from 1988 and clarifying that the confusion stemmed from a Kanye West remix of Like That, which sampled Barry White, not the original track or the unauthorized derivative work. No. It's not the Kanye version. I know the Kanye version did have some changes, and they may have sampled more of the Barry White original, but just that 5-second dun 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 dun, that's from the Barry White song. We just played the piece, and that's a key element in both Everlasting Bass and in Like That. Young dope nigga, is you like that? I don't know the words. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the fuck, that bass line is under there. It's all throughout the song. So the that's original. But the underlying bass line, that is an interpolation. We got to be honest about this. Damn, I might be sacrificing my... I'll probably never hear from Nicole after this. Damn. The claim surfaced only after Key demanded performance of Epic's obligations, suggesting it was a pretext to pressure Key and delay compliance orchestrated by Epic, Barry White Trust, Finan, and Weber. Now, what I don't understand is why the Barry White estate would come together with Epic when the Barry White estate was suing all of y'all, if I'm not mistaken. I stand corrected. Okay, so this is from October of last year. Barry White's estate files copyright case over Like That, but not against Future and Metro. All right, Rodney and Nicole, I see where y'all coming from. Because they doing the curved bullets. Okay, I get it. Barry White's estate is suing over allegations that a prominent sample at the heart of Future and Metro's chart-topping Like That infringes the copyright to a 1973 song by the legendary singer, but they aren't accusing the stars of any wrongdoing. In a complaint filed last week in Manhattan federal court, White's estate claimed that a 1986 hip-hop song called Everlasting Bass by the duo Rodney O and Joe Cooley stole key elements from White's 1973 song I'm Gonna Love You Just a Little More, Baby, and that was an interpolation. However, it was not cleared. Attorneys for the White estate say they waited nearly 4 decades to sue over the song because it was released prior to the internet and was not widely distributed, leaving the estate unaware of the song when it was first released. Now, that part I find very interesting. Barry White was alive, just like Rodney said. And Everlasting Bass is a cornerstone hip-hop song. Somebody from his team had to know that that was sampled. Y'all been letting it stack up. The song been resampled over about 30 times. So I understand why Rodney is so frustrated. Because if it was an issue, it should have been an issue before now. They say White's heirs are certainly aware of Everlasting Now, and it's not hard to guess why. The song was heavily sampled and Like That, which debuted at number 1 on the Hot 100 earlier this year, so prominently that Future and Metro Boomin credited Rodney O and Joe Cooley as co-writers, which we see they got they got their master agreement. By using an infringing sample, the lawsuit claims that Like That also infringes White's copyrights. Like That copies substantial elements of I'm Gonna Love You Just a Little More Babe, included but not limited to the iconic, immediately recognizable bass line. But crucially, the White estate isn't accusing Future, Metro, or co-creator Kendrick of any legal wrongdoing. The lawsuit pins the blame solely on Rodney O and Joe Cooley, saying they agreed to defend the stars against such accusations when they cleared the sample. The duo did not immediately return a request for comment on the lawsuit's allegations. Very interesting. Released in March as the third single off Future and Metro, we know that part. But the underlying music featured a sample from Everlasting Bass, a classic early hip-hop track that's also been sampled by 3 6 Mafia, Lil Wayne, and E40. In an April interview with Vibe, Rodney O said he loved what Future and Metro did with the song. This is a quote. It's crazy because the song was big when it came out, and for it to be even bigger now all these years later, it's crazy. I heard the song, I knew it was good, but when it comes out and the world hears it how you hear it and react to it the way you reacted to it, that's confirmation. Okay, so Barry White estate says, we're not mad at Future and Metro. We're mad at you, Rodney O and Joe Cooley, because y'all didn't go through the proper channels when the song was released. And had y'all went through the proper channels when the song was released, we wouldn't be here today. We all could have been included in the paperwork for the clearance of the sample, and all of it would have been taken care of from the jump. Because the Barry White estate would have had to have been clued in. They would have had to sign off on their portion to get their portion of the master, to get their portion of the publishing as well. And once all of those signatures were submitted, everybody would have been cleared. However, Metro and them were not aware that the song was never cleared. So they were absolved of any wrongdoing because it's like, we didn't know. We thought we were just clearing it with Joe and Rodney. But now this is a big mess. So they say, nah, don't worry about it. We're going to go straight to the source. And this is why Rodney O and Miss Nicole are angry, because they feel like the Barry White estate has teamed up with Metro, Future, and Kendrick to punish them. But honestly, I hate to say it because I'm an advocate for sampling. But once they find out that you interpolated, and it's not a sample, it's an interpolation, which is when you replay it. Because if you sample somebody, that means you're taking a portion from the song, you're putting it in your mix, you chop it up, or you let it play out as a loop, and it's the exact piece from the original song. An interpolation is when you go in and you recreate the sound. You create something that sounds like it based on the melody or the notes from the original, which is a way to get around it, right? Interpolation costs way less than sampling. It's a workaround fix that a lot of artists do. You know, Just Blaze, he learned how to play instruments so that he could do interpolations of the samples that he was creating to keep more money in his pocket over the years. So, unfortunately, although Rodney O was ahead of the game in doing an interpolation back in the 80s, it still wasn't properly cleared. And you could look this up online. There's plenty of websites that refer to Rodney O and the Barry White song. Again, this shit is a clusterfuck. I gotta be honest. So here, The claim surfaced only after Key demanded performance of Epic's obligation, suggesting it was a pretext to delay compliance orchestrated by Epic. So she says they all came together, right? No formal cease and desist or litigation was initiated by the Barry White Trust against plaintiffs, and the claim lacked merit. Okay? So damn, Barry White estate held it down better than Drake. They ain't even sent a cease and desist. Oh boy. Attempted renegotiation under duress. On April 25th, 2024, a Kanye West producer contacted Key requesting a reduction of Rodney O's 50% pub share due to an alleged Barry White interpolation in a remix of Like That. Now, the remix of Like That featuring Kanye was never officially released. Kanye just threw it up on the internet. So this is another situation of the song being improperly used without the consent of Metro and Future, right? They never officially released the remix. Kanye took it upon himself on a random day to throw his out there. Hey, yo, Dot, I got you. As if Dot asked for it. Key rejected the request. So now Kanye's trying to get a portion for his remix. Key rejected the request, emphasizing that Rodney O's work and legacy must be protected absent proper documentation and accounting. Immediately after Key's refusal, defendants Epic, Barry White Trust, Finan, and Weber escalated the Barry White infringement claim unrelated to the licensed Like That master to pressure Key into conceding ownership reductions. Okay? So because of this Kanye remix that was unauthorized yet released to the internet, that ended up causing even more problems on the business side. Because then Barry White team and them are trying to get they cut in, and Nicole and Rodney are like, man, what the fuck is all this? We never signed up for none of this. So I do understand where y'all are coming from, why y'all are so angry, because y'all thought one version was coming out, then the Kendrick version that y'all didn't know about comes out, and then you get a Kanye remix, which ends up causing even more problems, right? So I get it. Aggressive tactics by Dorothy Weber. Weber, acting as counsel for the Barry White Trust and in concert with Finan, issued a litigation hold against Everlasting Bass. Okay, this is where it gets interesting. Improperly naming it an infringing work, copied high-level executives to amplify pressure, and ignored Key's request for evidence. Now, Miss Key, it is an interpolation, I must say. Weber falsely accused Key's then counsel, Ryan Powers, of being non-responsive, causing confusion and leading to his dismissal. Okay, Weber's October 3rd, 2024 lawsuit filed on behalf of the Barry White Trust was improperly served to Key, bypassing her counsel, violating ethical norms. So the lawsuit was delivered directly to Miss Key rather than to her attorney. The licenses contained narrow indemnification provisions applicable only to authorized uses of Everlasting Bass and the approved Like That master. And all of these exhibits, I'm sure, will come up. It's probably why this document is so large. Defendants Epic, Barry White Trust, Finan, and Weber mischaracterized the provisions, asserting plaintiffs were liable for claims arising from unauthorized derivative works and remixed versions, including the March 22nd, 2024 release, and threatened high-cost litigation to extort concessions. So the Barry White Trust was trying to come in and claim everything. They like, we need a percentage on the original that you put out back in the 80s. We need a percentage on this Like That record with Future, Metro, and Kendrick. And we need to be cut in on this Kanye West remix, even though it's not official. It's out and people are talking about it. Y'all don't put out all these versions. We need our cut, which I got to be fair to the Barry White estate. They're not wrong either. Because if you never interpolated the song, and this is back in 86. This is before Nicole was even involved. So this is why you handle your business up front, because shit gets sticky later. But of course, the industry, the laws, and all of this stuff were very different than they are today. Artists know to do that today. Back then, it wasn't as common. Everybody was hip hop was created off of samples, right? It took years before they learned how to properly credit and pay people off of the copyright of a sample in hip hop. Took years. Most people in the industry were doing covers of other people's songs, and that was like the way. But in hip hop, we actually took your song, flipped it, and made it our own. So I understand in 86 how that could be a problem, right? I don't want to put all of that weight on Rodney, because he was just doing what they did with the times. But unfortunately, the times have changed and they've caught up. This situation is causing me to like see everybody's perspective, because it's a lot of layers to it. Defendants' actions, including the willful unauthorized release of the derivative work by Epic, Future, Metro, Kendrick, John Doe's 1 through 10, and UMG, and the manufactured infringement claim by Barry White Trust, etc., incur legal costs, lose a $2.2 million publishing deal. Ooh! Damn! So Rodney O could have got a $2 million pub deal and to be excluded from the 2025 Grammy nominations. The significant commercial success of Like That, as documented in the Impact Report, including 60 million streams and a #1 debut on the Billboard Hot 100, directly resulted from the willful, unauthorized use of everlasting bass. Now, this is where I have a problem. It's not about the everlasting bass unauthorization, because y'all authorized everlasting bass to be used on Like That, whether Kendrick was on it or not. The problem is everlasting bass was never cleared with Barry White in 1986. That sucks. Plaintiffs suffered reputational harm, emotional distress, and lost licensing opportunities due to defendants' disparagement, willful unauthorized use, and obstruction. First cause of action, copyright infringement. Okay, we pretty much get where they're going with this copyright infringement. Okay, we know who was a part of the song. Defendant's infringement was willful, as they knowingly continued exploitation despite Key's explicit warnings of unauthorized use, and released the derivative work in deliberate breach of the license agreement, fully aware of plaintiffs' copyrighted rights and everlasting bass. As a result, plaintiffs suffered damages, including lost licensing fees, promotional value, and income from the unauthorized derivative work. This is tough, man. Second cause of action, breach of contract. I think this is going to be a little bit stronger. Breach of contract, because an unauthorized use is basically saying we didn't authorize it, but y'all signed paperwork to authorize it. But breach of contract could mean that y'all went outside the ramifications of the original contract. I think this could be a stronger case. Plaintiffs repeat and incorporate by referencing all preceding allegations, master use license agreement for everlasting bass and Like That by Future, dated March 20th, 2024. Publishing license agreement, everlasting bass and Like That by Future, dated March 20th, 2024. Right? Defendants Epic, Metro, Kendrick, etc. breached these contracts by releasing the unauthorized derivative work Like That by Future, including Kendrick, on March 22nd. So they signed the paperwork on March 20th. The song came out 2 days later, which incorporated everlasting bass without their approval. The only thing that wasn't approved was Kendrick's verse. And there ain't no way in fuck that y'all was not gonna approve Kendrick's verse. Let's be real. Now y'all probably could have asked for more money, but I don't know, man. As a result, plaintiffs suffered damages, including lost income and reputational harm, in an amount to be determined at trial. Third cause of action, fraudulent misrepresentation. Okay, they claimed that they had a alleged pre-clearance, the scope of indemnification, indemnification, the Barry White infringement claim and their lack of knowledge about promotional use, live performances. None of this stuff is like really all that. I gotta be real. It's not all that deep. They played it on stage at Rolling Loud. The song came out on March 22nd. Y'all signed paperwork on the 20th. All that is good. Whether Kendrick appeared on it or not. Because if y'all didn't want the song to be sampled, y'all would have said no. Fourth cause of action, breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing. The licenses implied a covenant of good faith and fair dealing, which defendants, blah, 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 breached by delaying payments, escalating false claims, exploiting everlasting base without authorization, releasing the unauthorized derivative work, and attempting to diminish Rodney O's rights. As a result, plaintiffs suffered damages in an amount to be determined at trial. Fifth cause of action, economic duress and coercion. Plaintiffs repeat and incorporate by reference in all preceding allegations. Defendants Epic, Barry White, etc. use threats of litigation and false infringement claims to coerce plaintiffs into accepting reduced ownership and unfavorable terms. I don't feel like they did anything wrong. They represent the original song by Barry White, which was interpolated into his song. They're supposed to get something from that. So I don't feel like that was false infringement claim. Just gonna have to cut them in on a percentage of the money, because y'all clearly are not gonna have whatever they're asking for, probably millions of dollars. So y'all should have cut them in on the percentage when they requested it. Y'all knew that was an interpolation. If I'm not a complete layman, but I'm not a musicologist either, I could recognize that y'all recognize that in the chat. I already know. Like, should have cut him in when he said we need to be cut in. But now nobody's getting paid because the money is just piling up in escrow. Sixth cause of action, tortious interference with contract and economic advantage. Plaintiffs, blah, blah, blah. Defendants, Future, Metro, etc. intentionally interfere with plaintiffs' licensing agreements and prospective economic opportunities by manufacturing disputes using everlasting base without authorization. As a result, plaintiffs lost a $2.2 million publishing deal and other opportunities, suffering damages in an amount to be determined at trial. I'm sorry that y'all lost that $2 million deal, though. My condolences. Seventh cause of action, civil extortion. This ain't extortion. I'm sorry. They're not trying to extort y'all. Eighth cause of action, unjust enrichment. Defendants 1 through 10 and etc. were enriched by their willful. No, I'm sorry. It wasn't unauthorized. Every time y'all use that word, I disagree. Sorry. Wherefore, plaintiffs respectfully request that this court award compensatory damages in an amount to be determined at trial, but not less than $2.2 million to make up for the lost pub deal. Award statutory damages under 17 U.S.C. 504 for willful copyright infringement. Award punitive damages for defendants' willful and malicious conduct. Grant injunctive relief, enjoining defendants from further misuse, unauthorized use, or distribution of everlasting base, including in the unauthorized derivative work, and from disparagement of plaintiffs. Award attorneys' fees and costs under 17 U.S.C. 505 and other applicable law. Grant leave to amend this complaint to add additional claims as may be warranted by discovery. Grant such other and further relief as the court deems just and proper. Demand for a bench trial. This was submitted on April 28th, but it was brought to the press yesterday. Okay, so here we get into the exhibits. So this is going to be, let me get all of that, get past their personal information. Rodney O is the creator and original sole owner of the master sound recording entitled Everlasting Bass. Oliver now desires to transfer and Key desires to accept a 50% undivided interest in the master recording. So this is their co-ownership agreement between Rodney O and Miss Nicole Key, because Miss Nicole Key is his rights management partner. So her company will be sharing profits from helping him get his business together, right? That's what this is. They're splitting profits 50-50 from whatever comes from his work from here until probably the end of time, right? Cool. They signed off on that. So this is why Miss Nicole Key is, heading up this situation, because she has a financial vested interest in this. And she represents Rodney. Okay? So here is Eric Wiseman licensing. This is his letter to Nicole to get the clearance for Everlasting Bass, right? Publishing designer of Rodney Oliver, use of Everlasting Bass in the musical composition entitled Like That is performed by Future. So here's the letter. Dear Nicole, on a solely non-precedential basis, I am writing on behalf of Epic Records to confirm that the publishing designer of Rodney Oliver, herein after referred to as sampled publisher, has agreed to license to Epic Records and its designees in perpetuity throughout the world in all audio and audiovisual configurations now known or hereinafter devised, including without limitation, compact disc, CDs, non-musical spoken word messages or greetings, so-called ringtones, all right? So-called applications or apps, DVDs, Blu-ray discs, vinyl discs, and all digital phonorecord delivery and music videos, the use of the musical composition, the original composition entitled Everlasting Bass, written by Rodney Oliver and Joe Cooley as embodied in the musical composition, the future composition entitled Like That as performed by the Epic Records recording artist professionally known as Future. Okay, so this is where they send the confirmation that Rodney O has agreed to be sampled on Like That and to be and to allow the song Like That to be used on all of those different mechanisms as detailed, right? CDs, ringtones, any apps, streaming platforms, DVDs, Blu-ray, vinyl, etc. Okay? And they now have that clearance until the end of time, which is perpetuity. That's the here and the hereafter. Okay? Let me get back to where I was. Written by, let's see. The sampled publisher grants to Epic Records the non-exclusive and perpetual right to exploit the original composition as embodied in the future composition for the full terms of copyright and any extensions and renewals thereof, and to manufacture, reproduce, sell, transmit, publicly perform, and otherwise exploit the original composition as embodied in the future composition. And I mean, this is standard. I mean, this is on Future's album. This isn't on Kendrick's album. But they feel like they were misled because they didn't know Kendrick was going to be a part of it. In consideration of the foregoing license, and in the event of that the original composition as embodied in the future composition is commercially exploited, sample publisher shall be entitled to a 50% interest in the copyright of the future composition. And that's publishing side. So 50% publishing, that's awesome. Off top. So that means Metro, Future, and Kendrick had to split the remaining 50%. So y'all already ahead of the game. In addition, Epic Records shall arrange to pay sample publisher a one-time only non-recoupable fee in the amount of $5,000. Now remember, they paid them $50,000 on the master, but $5,000 for the pub agreement. Sample publisher warrants and represents that it wholly owns and or controls the original composition throughout the world. It has the right to grant the rights granted herein, and that the rights granted by sample publisher shall not infringe on the rights of any third party. Sample publisher shall indemnify Epic Records and its designees against any claims arising from sample publisher's breach of the warranties and representation contained herein. I ain't gonna lie, I feel like that actually protects Epic and all of them from any other issues, because Rodney O signed off on this sample clearance without disclosing that he hadn't buttoned up all of the rights from the interpolation of Barry White. Now, he may not have thought it was an issue because the song had been out for nearly 40 years without a problem, but that doesn't mean that there would never be a problem, right? But it was never communicated to them that it could be a problem. So the label is going to look at this, or Eric Wiseman Music Licensing is going to look at this like, y'all breached the contract by not disclosing any potential liabilities. Again, if anybody works in law, tell me if I'm wrong here, but that's what it sounds like here to me. Okay. So here we just went through the publishing. They basically give them a copy of the same agreement, but this time on the master side. The only thing different here is that on the master, which is the audio recording that goes onto the album, they are entitled to 15% on the master and $50,000. Okay? But outside of that, that was a duplicate agreement. So here's the impact report that they were referring to. They say impact report, influence of Everlasting Bass on the careers of Metro, Kendrick, and Future. These are all artists with multiple hits under their belt, by the way. We can't act like that is like some anomaly, like they just became known for this record, but it's definitely a good notch under their belt. I'm not taking nothing away from it. So they say Everlasting Bass, a 1986 track by Rodney O and Joe Cooley, has left an indelible mark on hip-hop through its bass-heavy production and cultural resonance. It is very culturally resonant. Let's understand, Everlasting Bass is a record that our parents grew up on. Some of y'all probably watching this grew up on, did breakdancing in the parties. You know what I'm saying? I'm not taking nothing away from that. Okay? They say it's sampling in the 2024 hit Like That by Future, Metro Boomin, and Kendrick Lamar significantly amplified its influence, contributing to the song's commercial and cultural success. This report analyzes how Everlasting Bass impacted the careers of Metro Boomin, Kendrick, and Future, focusing on the sample's role in Like That, the song's achievements, immediate career advancements, and long-term effects on their professional trajectories. And let's be clear, although this song is successful, had Kendrick not dissed Drake and J. Cole on it, the song would have been just another song. It still would have went up. It might have still went number one, because we've seen the impact of Kendrick getting on songs on Playboi Carti's album. But without those disses, the disses is what went ultra viral immediately and carried the song for months. Released on March 22nd, 2024 as part of the album We Don't Trust You, Like That, debuted at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, driven by 60 million streams, 5.6 million radio airplay impressions, and 9,000 downloads in its first week. The track, produced by Metro Boomin and featuring Future and Kendrick Lamar, sampled Everlasting Bass alongside Eazy-E's Easy Does It, creating a menacing trap-infused soundscape. The Everlasting Bass sample provided a nostalgic bass-heavy foundation that enhanced the song's appeal. And where's Eazy-E and his estate? Are they cut in with the Easy Does It sample? Anyway, the song's success, while fueled by multiple factors, including Kendrick Lamar's diss verse targeting J. Cole and Drake, was notably amplified by the song's sonic and cultural contributions. Impact on career of Metro. Like That marked Metro Boomin's first number 1 single. Ooh, y'all good. Say, hey, this is his first one. Your first number 1 that had to sit it in your hand. As a credited artist. Not as a producer, but as a credited artist. Remember, him and Future are the names on the album. A significant leap from his established role as the producer behind hits like Bad and Bougie, which I believe went number 1 also, but he wasn't in the song's namesake, right? He was just the producer. The Everlasting Bass sample was integral to the track's production, with critics praising Metro's ability to blend nostalgic elements with modern trap aesthetic. This achievement elevated his profile, positioning him as a chart-topping artist in his own right. Production acclaim. The sample's booming bass line described as a sinister scant. Now, the thing here, you can't talk about the booming bass line without crediting Barry White. It wasn't an original thought. It's an interpolation. So that piece, I would have to veto that. personally. Industry influence. Metro's strategic use of the everlasting bass sample placed him at the center of the 2024 Drake-Kendrick Lamar feud as he orchestrated the track's creation. His response on X asserting that Like That would have succeeded regardless of Kendrick's verse highlighted his confidence in his creative vision, further solidifying his industry clout. Career momentum. The song's success propelled We Don't Trust You to number 1 on the Billboard with 251,000 album equivalent units. That's fair. Metro's biggest album week ever. This momentum led to the release of a second collaborative album, We Still Don't Trust You, on April 12, 2024. Also debuting at number 1, the everlasting bass samples rolling like that was a catalyst for the sustained commercial dominance. That's fair also, because people continued to bump like that even when We Still Don't Trust You came out, because We Still Don't Trust You wasn't even as strong as the first iteration. Now, when y'all try to get into Kendrick's career, oh, that's going to be interesting. Cultural and lyrical dominance. Kendrick Lamar's verse on Like That, which dissed Drake and J. Cole, was a defining moment likened to his 2013 Control verse. While the verse's impact was the primary driver, the everlasting bass sample provided a powerful backdrop that amplified its intensity. That's true. I don't know if that holds legal standard. The track's number 1 debut marked Kendrick's third chart-topping single, reinforcing his commercial and critical stature. Feud-driven legacy. The sample's menacing tone complemented Kendrick's aggressive delivery, making the diss more impactful. The resulting feud with Drake, sparked by Like That, led to a series of diss tracks, including Euphoria, Meet the Grams, and Not Like Us. The latter won 5 Grammy Awards in 2025, including Record and Song of the Year, cementing Kendrick's status as a lyrical heavyweight. The everlasting bass sample indirectly contributed to this career-defining arc by enhancing the track's cultural weight. I mean, Not Like That is, Like That, it is in the anthology of the diss records. Gotta be clear on that. But those other songs stand alone on their own. They play a role in terms of the story of how it all happened. But those songs were played on their own merit. They reached their own status on their own merit. And Kendrick is a big enough name in hip hop to have achieved that without being on Like That. He could have dropped that Like That verse as a freestyle and it would have done the same cultural impact, personally speaking. Because he did it before on Control. So this isn't a everlasting bass thing. It's Kendrick being able to captivate the audience. Which is also why y'all are angry, because if y'all knew Kendrick was going to be on the song, y'all could have gotten more out of the deal. The sample's West Coast roots tied Kendrick, a Compton native, to his regional heritage, adding authenticity to his performance. Fan engagement, such as labeling Drake's mansion as owned by Kendrick on Google Maps. And wait. Y'all keep trying to attach yourselves to Not Like Us. I don't like that. Commercial boost. The track's 60 million streams and 3-week number 1 run boosted Kendrick's visibility, paving the way for subsequent releases. The sample's nostalgic appeal likely contributed to replays, enhancing the song's streaming performance and Kendrick's commercial viability. Here we get into impact on Future's career. Commercial reinforcement, Like That was Future's third number 1 single on the Billboard Hot 100, following Way Too Sexy and Wait For You. I thought Future might have had more number 1s than that. Way Too, damn. Drake did Put It In Your Hands. Damn, Way Too Sexy was a Drake song, and Wait For You is a Future song that only got cleared because of Drake. Damn. Remember ATL Jacob talking about how Tim's didn't want to clear the record till Drake got involved? So he definitely put it in your hands. Damn. The everlasting bass samples, bass heavy groove was a perfect fit for his trap style, with critics noting he glides over the beat. X-Post emphasized Future's hooks and verses as key to the song's success, reinforcing his commercial draw. Fair. Collaborative legacy. The sample's integration into Like That highlighted Future's synergy with Metro Boomin, strengthening their partnership. The success of We Don't Trust You and the follow-up album We Still Don't Trust You solidified Future's reputation as a collaborative powerhouse, with the sample enhancing the lead single's impact. He duplicated that success with mixtape Pluto though. So some of this stuff, I mean, y'all got to do what y'all got to do legally to play it up, but I don't know. Now, I will say none of the songs from mixtape Pluto hit number one and had the same impact as Like That. I got to be fair. While Future did not directly engage in the Drake-Kendrick feud, I think he did. The whole album was dissing, homie. His association with Like That kept him central to hip-hop's 2024 narrative. The sample's nostalgic appeal broadened the track's audience, ensuring Future's relevance across generations, touring invisibility. The song's success drove demand for Future and Metro's joint tour. That's a fucking fact. With the sample's club-ready sound amplifying live performances. This increased Future's visibility and revenue, further boosting his career trajectory. That is a fact. All right. We're not going to do this. This is the copyright registration for We Don't Trust You by Metro and Future. So was Kendrick not credited in the original copyright? I can't see it all the way. Hold on. This is a screenshot from the copyright.gov. This is all the songs from We Don't Trust You. Okay, new sounds. And We Don't Trust You, copyright claimant. We have Kendrick, Metro Boomin. This is Like That. So I don't see what the problem is here, other than the fact that y'all didn't know Kendrick was going to be a part of it. But I don't see that being all that significant. This here is the new copyright registration from Rodney O from the project Me and Joe, which was originally released in 1986. But I believe this is from January 18th, 2024, when they obtained the masters back through reversion. Okay. So this shows that they went through the proper channel through the copyright.gov to issue their new copyright for the album, which salute. Only problem is y'all didn't cut in Barry White and them. That's all I can really say. So as I scroll down, we have some email correspondence here. It says, please discuss this with your client and get back to me ASAP with your client's position and information on this matter, from Robert Finan. So this is email correspondence from Nicole regarding Rodney. She says, hi, Rob. Sorry for my late reply. I really want to comply with you and be patient, but I cannot do so at Rodney's expense. I hate that this makes me the bad guy. I included information regarding my 30-day comment. I'm guessing 30 days to get this thing resolved. Please resolve this dispute within 30 days of this notice. My goal is to be able to have everyone reap the benefits of their work by being compensated and avoid opportunities being missed. I received another email of a sync request being closed. If you can get the label to approve the master side, I can legally approve the publishing side as long as I hold the remaining 50% sync fee. Okay, so I guess some companies wanted to sync the Like That record, right? But unfortunately, with Barry White estate wanting to get clued in on the cut, that became a problem. Okay. So she says, if you can get the label to approve on master, I can legally approve the pub side as long as I hold the 50% sync fee to distribute properly the other 50% when whatever is being figured out. Please see attached. Please do so if the above split dispute can be remedied. If it cannot be remedied to avoid further violation, I will let the sync be. So there was money on the table. There was some money on the table for Like That to get licensed for, I would assume, some big money. Finance says, I am not sure of the status. I will check. What is your basis for the 30-day comment? Thanks. She says, please see attached. Is this true? Track is in a split dispute. Okay, so this is where the split dispute became a thing. You are aware that a split dispute has to be resolved in 30 days from the release. This should be a priority. Please advise. She says, FYI, I have received another request for Like That placement for Fox Sports. May I please obtain a sign off of splits to avoid opportunities being passed up? Thank you. He says, hi, Nicole. As you might have seen, Future released a second project, so we are working hard to get everyone situated. Thanks for your continued patience, because remember, the Future project dropped, what, a week or two later? We still don't trust you? Niggas came back to back. She says, hello, Eric, do you have the splits for the song? Can I get updated to the status of the long-form agreements? Now you can see why I was trying to get all this information before signing. It's hard to get anything done after the fact. The industry norms everyone is accustomed is its downfall. The people in it are great like all you gentlemen, but it makes my job difficult. An ETA for long forms will be appreciated. And I think at this point she's doing her job. Nicole is doing what she's supposed to do. But unfortunately for Nicole, she is moving without the knowledge of Barry White and the estate needing their cut for that interpolation. But what she's doing is what she's supposed to do. As the rights manager, she's doing her job. Hello, gentlemen. Hope all is well. I'm following up on the long-form agreements as well as requesting obtain a sign-off on the agreed splits and writers. Not having the above is causing the loss of opportunities. So a couple syncs have been, they came and went. Nobody got paid. The sync opportunities were not able to go through, which Future and Metro don't care about. They're able to tour. They got a new album out. They're successful. They're going to eat. Them niggas already rich. But for Rodney O, who has an opportunity to eat off of those syncs, off of this new interest in a song that he sampled on, that would generate more money for him. Nicole, as his rights manager, is trying to lock in these opportunities. But unfortunately, the interpolation was never clear. Damn. This person here says, I understand. Nicole says, appreciate the follow-up. I am sure you can be empathetic to how Rodney feels. This business is the only business I am aware of that transactions of another's property are done without payment being received. Can you imagine if car dealerships allowed people to drive off the car lot with the buyer telling the dealer an expected date of payment to be deposited? Rodney asking for us to reassure him it's not too much to ask. I appreciate the quick response. Thank you. Finnan replies, hi, Nicole. As Bob told you on Monday, the payment should hit your account no later than tomorrow. Is that the 50,000? The industry do be playing. I ain't gonna lie. I got payments I'm still waiting on. Feel me? So niggas be talking about that net 30, net 90, net 60. Nigga, the internet is immediate. Yeah. But that's how they be moving. You say, hi, Nicole. As Bob told you on Monday, the payment should be hitting your account no later than tomorrow. We confirm the payment has been processed, and we expect this timeline is still correct. Ooh, not 88. Ooh, wow. So this is 88 Keys. If y'all don't know who 88 Keys is, he's a legendary hip-hop artist and producer. He's been around since the 90s. Very closely associated with Kanye, but he's done so much more. Black on Both Sides, Most Def. He had a career of his own. Very influential. Okay. So here we have 88 Keys here, who still works with Kanye to this day. Says, would you be so kind to email me for a formal request for interpolation clearance for Everlasting Basin Like That? With the upfront non-recoupable fee amount, the percent you would like us to accept, along with the splits of the other publishers and how sample will be credited. If you can do that, then I can go for 30%. Okay? So this is where Kanye's remix creates a problem. Because now that the remix, they're trying to get the remix negotiated, 88 Keys is like, yo, what y'all gonna do with Barry White and them? Okay, he says, you are clearing it with the Barry White estate. That tells me you are not naming Everlasting Bass as the sample. That will harm Rodney's legacy, and I will not approve clearance. If it's a remix of Like That, credits will need to remain as listed in Like That. I hope you can understand my need to protect my client's legacy and work. So, I think she's texting 88 Keys about the Kanye shit. Got it. So 88 Keys, this is his response. He says, greetings again, Nicole. We're practically family here. Nicole Key, 88 Keys. Thanks again for getting this quote to us in a quick turnaround. If I may ask to take into consideration the following in regards to the publishing percentage. We haven't used the original composition from Rodney O and Joe Cooley, as we created an interpolation of what was also interpolated in Everlasting Bass from Barry White. There are now 10 writers on the... See? Y'all see how this goes? Y'all talk about people in the industry having 10 writers. This is a situation where 10 writers amassed simply because of sampling, interpolating, and niggas trying to get in on some shit. There are now 10 writers on the new derivative we're asking your permission to clear. It would be amazing if you could work with us more on the 50% quote, given these point, please. So Nicole is trying to retain 50% publishing for her client. 88 Keys is saying, hey, we didn't actually sample Rodney O and Joe Cooley's song. We went and resampled the Barry White version. Okay? We interpolated it. Let me be clear. We interpolated it, not sampled it, meaning we recreated it. So we want to give credit to Barry White and the estate, not Rodney O, because all of it comes from the same source. So because we did that, we would like a greater percentage of that 50 on the publishing. Which, if I'm Nicole, I understand why she's mad, because it's like, yo, when we cleared this song, we had no intentions of Kanye West, and y'all niggas coming in, recreating some shit and being a part of it. Can't control it, but I understand business-wise why you would fight for that. Okay? This is some layered shit, man. It's finna take all fucking day that I don't have. So this is Nicole back to fining and everybody. The following is to provide you and your client with knowledge in order to defend any claims of infringement from anyone in regards to Everlasting Bass, and Easy Does It. Both tracks are transformative. They're Like That is protected under fair use. I am handling the claim. I am confident it will be resolved. As the rights manager for Rodney O, I would like to present a robust argument in defense of Rodney O against any potential infringement claim from the Barry White estate regarding the derivative work Like That. First and foremost, it's essential to underscore the transformative nature of Like That. This derivative work creatively integrates elements from Barry White's original compositions into a hip-hop context, offering a interpretation that adds new layers of artistic expression and cultural relevance. Rather than simply replicating or imitating Barry White's music, Like That repurposes it in a manner that is distinctly Rodney O's own, thereby embodying the essence of fair use. That's not... No. It's an interpolation. That's what it is. Furthermore, it's crucial to highlight the historical significance and cultural legacy of Rodney O's original composition, Everlasting Bass. Released in 1989 and registered with the U.S. Copyright Office, Everlasting Bass has become a certified classic in the hip-hop genre, influencing countless artists and shaping the musical landscape. By incorporating elements from Everlasting Bass into Like That, Rodney O pays homage to his own artistic contributions while simultaneously bridging the generational gap and introducing his music to newer audience. All those things may be true, however, it's an interpolation. Additionally, it's important to address any concerns regarding the non-competitive nature of Like That in relation to Barry White's original works. Far from seeking to undermine or overshadow Barry White's music, Like That serves to celebrate and elevate it. showcasing that enduring impact and versatility of his contributions within the evolving landscape of hip hop. Cool. Moreover, as Rodney O's rights manager, it's crucial I assert the legal protections afforded by the fair use doctrine. This cornerstone of copyright law recognizes the importance of transformative works in fostering creativity, innovation, and cultural continuity. Protection under fair use. One of the most dynamic and prominent defenses is the fair use doctrine, so much so that in 2008, the district court in Lynch v. UMG agreed that the failure to consider the fair use doctrine before requesting a takedown notice of work could give rise to cross-claim for failure to act in good faith when bringing the claim. It's no secret how powerful the doctrine can be in defending against infringement claims from the Barry White estate. Yeah, but fair use is not a catch-all, and it's not. Y'all would have to go to court to ultimately determine fair use on something of this magnitude. But it's clearly an interpolation. They say, thanks, Nicole, fair use is a defense. That means you need to take on the claim. This will need to be dealt with. See? I'm not a legal professional, but I know a little something about a little something, man. The wrongful claim of infringement against Like That was caused by Kanye West remix of Like That, where he publicly states he did interpolation of Barry White and not Everlasting Bass, Rodney's Everlasting Bass composition, which has no samples or any claims of infringement. United States copyright law, transformative. Okay. And maybe Everlasting Bass was protected under fair use because it was allowed to sit for 30 plus years. So Kanye, once again, fucked up the feng shui. That's how Nicole sees it. I find it odd how you demand a response to immediately, but have failed to respond to what I have requested. I feel you, Nicole. Please have the estate contact myself. If in fact their claim is against Rodney from the Barry estate, I will be happy to deal with them myself. They reply, Nicole, it's just come to our attention that Sony has received a claim from the Barry White Family Trust, apparently related to the Rodney O song Everlasting Bass. The claim contends that the future song Like That interpolates the Barry White song. That's what I've been saying the whole time. The bass line from the White song in question is allegedly embodied within the Rodney O song Everlasting Bass. As you know, your client represented that he owned the master and composition and could grant the rights he did. If the claim is correct, these representations would be incorrect. Remember, I told y'all when I saw the agreements, and I said you signed off on it without telling us about any liabilities. Here we are. Hi, Rob. Sorry for the late reply. I really want to comply to you and be patient, but I cannot do so. Okay, so this is a copy of the original. We saw it already. This is Herbsman, Hafer, Weber, and Frisch. What is this? Looks like this is notification of the copyright infringement. Okay, from the Barry White estate. So this is letting them know we suing your ass. Okay, just in simple terms. Litigation hold. Excuse me. Unless and until this matter is resolved, this letter shall constitute notice of potential litigation. Electronically stored information can be easily altered, deleted, or otherwise modified, and it is common to dispose of it some electronic material in the normal course of business. However, under the governing law, it would be improper, following your receipt of this notice, for you to fail to take all necessary steps to fully preserve all of the electronic stored information in question, regardless of past practices. Your failure to preserve and retain the electronically stored information described in this notice may constitute the spoliation of evidence that could subject you or any of your subsidiaries, divisions, agents, and employees to sanctions by the court, legal claims for damages, or both. So this is where they say you wrongfully interpolated our shit years ago. It's been brought to our attention. We're here to claim up on it, and y'all need to not make no changes. Don't delete nothing. Don't change nothing. Don't do nothing. Okay? I'm not going to read through all of it, but that's basically what's going down here. All the money is on hold. Because once this thing is over with, somebody's getting paid. And I do believe that the Barry White estate will be getting paid. Gotta be clear. So this is where they go into the public the copyright records of Barry White. Okay? To show that this stuff been copyrighted 1973. Nicole says, to be fair, if we can assume both Mitu and White have copyrighted in the year 1974 per White Sheet Music, Jackie Mitu work will fall into the public domain for failing to have a fixed notice of copyright, so it wouldn't be fair use. This is Ryan Powers. I believe Ryan Powers are from Barry White's team, Barry White's estate. Nicole, please see below from Dorothy. In furtherance of our conversation today, we have confirmed that the Jackie Mitu track was released after Mr. White's song was released. It is also our understanding that Mr. Mitu did not perform with Mr. Wright. We look forward to receiving any information you have as expeditiously as possible. So now they're trying to get into the technicalities of what happened and who released something first, sample, interpolation, and not, if not, where did it come from. So at this point, everybody's arguing about who came first, chicken or egg. And again, I don't have a lot of time at this point. We've been here for what, 2 hours? Going on 2 hours. So at this point, we pretty much get what's going on. Barry White's team has come in to collect. Nicole is fighting it. She's calling Everlasting Bass an original creation that came from Rodney's head. She said it's protected under fair use. I don't think it's going to be protected under fair use, as it is for sure in interpolation. If people could get away with interpolations for free, we all would be doing it. But I wish everybody the best, man. I hope that they could come to a amicable agreement on the publishing and master split. I really don't care about the Kanye remix. Nobody care about it. It wasn't released on streaming platforms. It was an unofficial remix, although it might have been planned to be the official. Kanye leaked it on his own. And now I see why Kanye leaked it on his own, because there was so much red tape surrounding the song. And as we know, for the last few years, Kanye has been subverting sample clearance on his own music, on his own albums. He's been putting this stuff out without clearing it and saying, sue me. We'll figure it out in post. Like he's an editor. So this is a big ass mess. But I'm sure it'll get worked out. One way or another. It'll get worked out. It's gonna be a lot of money being split. Hopefully everybody walks away with something. Hopefully the Barry White estate will get theirs. Hopefully Rodney O can continue to have his share in like that. And everybody can go on with their lives. But there's going to be a lot of legal fees in the process. They're going to be suing each other. Again, this is the Spider-Man meme. Everybody pointing. I wouldn't want to be in this position for nothing. And the sad part about it is Kendrick Lamar is now a defendant in this lawsuit from Rodney O. I don't like that shit at all. But he get paid the big bucks. Sure, he's got his legal team on file. They'll handle it. He just did a feature verse on the song. Not like he has a lot of vested interest in it. They may even, petition to the judge to have him removed. We'll just have to see how it goes, all right? Let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. This is clearly an inside the industry conversation. You ain't gonna get this on nobody else's channel. I'm gonna tell you straight up, not like this or not like that. But again, be sure to like and share the video. If it's your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become an insider, and I will catch y'all on the next one. My goodness.
King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming out swinging like soldier rags. Leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the Gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef for computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest. With drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they doubted me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I been dropping these haters like calories. Cross them out, I came back with some boundaries. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. When I catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.